welcome everybody to this startup talk called Turning Research into Reality, from Trainee to CEO. And with me here today, I have Liam Hardey, CEO at Cellfion, a Swedish cleantech startup. And we will listen to his story of how he went from hardly having any prior entrepreneurial experience to becoming trainee at Lead, and then starting a company of which he now is the CEO. Before we start the startup talk and Liam can introduce himself, I just want to present myself and Lead and a little bit about the startup talks. My name is Eva Volmer. I am the project leader here at Lead and responsible for our Boot Up program, a program for our very early startups. And for those who don't know Lead, we are a business incubator situated in both Linköping and Norrköping, where we have about 45 member companies, which we help to grow faster and safer. And that we do with the help of our amazing business coaches, but also with the different programs that we have. For example, the Boot Up program that I talked about. And we host these startup talks once a month, so every first Wednesday. And the goal is to inspire more people to dare the step to start your own business or to learn from each other. And right now we are also recruiting for our 2 entrepreneurship programs, of which one is the Entrepreneurs in Residence program, our 6-month trainee program, with start in September, and then also our summer match, which is a summer job in 5 weeks, or like it is 5 weeks, and it starts in June. So right now and until the 20th of February, you can apply for those programs, and there you can learn the basics of entrepreneurship, and you will be working with real cases or like technologies from the university or the region. And there you can then see if and also how you could commercialize these. And that is actually what Liam did in 2020, and why he ended up with me here in the startup talk. So with that said, welcome Liam to the startup talk. How are you?
I'm very well, thank you. How are you?
I'm great as well.
Great.
I think we can start with a simple question. Who are you?
Yes. Yes, so my name's Liam Hardey, originally from the UK, but I moved to Sweden around 6 years ago. And then, as Eva mentioned, I'm a former participant of the Entrepreneurs in Residence program, which goes at Leeds every year. And from that program, I came into contact with Cellfion, which was a research project that we've now taken to establish a private limited company from. And now we are. I stepped in as CEO for the company after we established, and now we're in the startup of our journey.
Did you expect to become an entrepreneur, or like where did that come from?
No, so being an entrepreneur was never really something that I had ever thought about. My background was actually mainly up until I started studying within sports. I was a former football player, and that was always where I thought my life would stay, within sort of the football industry, I guess you could say. But then I was very fortunate to be taken into the Entrepreneurs in Residence program, and from that it really sort of kickstarted my interest for entrepreneurship and going in more to the business life, I guess you could say. And it's been a fantastic journey that I wouldn't change.
How so? Thinking about that, you like didn't have any tools in like how to be an entrepreneur before the program. What would you say was the thing that got you recruited for it? Like, what do you think that one should have in order to, become part of the program?
I think probably maybe so. I've never really actually asked the question why I was recruited, but I can guess that some of the things that they look for is definitely sort of curiosity. You've got to be open to wanting to try new things. You've got to be flexible in wanting to try those new things, because there's challenges and basically curveballs that get thrown at you all the time. I guess you've got to have kind of a drive and to be brave. It's a big thing to start a company, but it's also an incredibly exciting thing. But to really sort of be willing to face your challenges head on is one of the best things I could say. So I think it comes mainly down to a personality around entrepreneurship. And of course, you need all the skills around you, but as long as you have the right willingness to learn those skills, then that's basically the thing that matters.
Mm. And that's really like big part, or like an important part, like as you said, like the personality. But do you you talked about being curious and flexible. How did that how did you need that during the program?
So being flexible is probably one of the best things you could be as an entrepreneur. You are constantly iterating because you basically make up hypotheses, and especially during the entrepreneurs in residence program, we worked a lot on sort of a hypothesis. So you would come up with an idea, and you would want to basically try to test and validate that idea. And a lot of the times it was wrong. So you had to be flexible in order to iterate, to try to find the right market or the right technology application, or to find the right customer, or there was a lot of different things that needed to be done. So having that flexibility and basically not giving up on the idea either was a really big part.
And before we continue, I forgot to say, if anybody has any questions, you can write them. There's a Q&A session in the task line below. So you can just write your questions there. And then I will try to take them up during the talk or even after. Okay, so what was your motivation or motivators to become an entrepreneur then?
I think for me, I've always been interested in challenging myself. And when Cellfion came along, it was a really big challenge. But once I started to sort of get a little bit more into Cellfion and to understand the markets more and to understand the technologies, I realized that there was a really big need for the product, and the markets that we were going into were really exciting. There was exciting things happening. And then that kind of kickstarted another interest around the climate and wanted to do something that made a difference, basically. So when I realized during the program that this technology could really make a difference, it sort of kickstarted some sort of drive in me, I guess, that wanted me to really continue. And it led to sort of a passion for this that I'm doing now, and I really believe in what I'm doing. So it makes a difference.
So would you say that like people who have the same interest, who want to make a difference, that like how does the like program reach up to that?
So I think it's like during the program they teach you a lot of tools in order to be able to take sort of ideas and technologies further. One of the main sort of attributes of being an entrepreneur is you have to believe in what you're doing. Because it becomes almost like a lifestyle. You have to commit basically to the idea, and you have to believe and give it your all, otherwise you probably won't succeed. And what LEAD and the Entrepreneurs in Residence program can do is basically give you the tools, but they can't give you that personality to go alongside it. So that you've got to find within yourself. But there was some really good tools that they use, such as the NABCs, to help us find concrete needs for the product. And then we even worked with the value chains to help us identify different actors that were very interesting for the technology. So there was a lot of basically tools and coaching. The support that we had at LEAD was also fantastic. There was a lot of business coaches that were in and helped us often. We had weekly meetings with business coaches who gave us new insights into the ideas and how we could take different approaches, which was very valuable.
And now you already talked a little bit about the different tools, but maybe you can give us a bigger picture. How is it to be an entrepreneur at LEAD? What do you like do throughout the different phases?
Yeah, so in the beginning, it's a lot about hypothesizing. So you begin basically with a sort of a value chain, an NABC, which stands for needs, approach, benefits, and competition. And you begin to identify what is the real need for this technology. So some of the basically ideas and cases that you work with, they're very early stage. So some of them can just be an idea. Some of them can have come a little bit further and be basically a proof of concept. So it depends a little bit on where the technology is in its life cycle. But then it also depends a little bit on the markets that you're going into as well. Is it a very niche product, or is it something that could be used for a range of different applications? And in which case you need to identify the different application areas. So there was a lot of brainstorming the first couple of weeks into finding, okay, well, what can this product do? If we take Cellfion, for example, an ion-selective membrane, which is the product that we work with, that could actually be used for, I think we identified over 8 different application areas. So we had to do basically niche that down and only focus on a couple of the application areas and begin to validate those markets. So there was a lot of brainstorming within a group in the beginning, which was really fun. And we came up with some fantastic ideas. After the first 2 weeks to 1 month, you come more into the validation stage. And this is where you go out into the real world and you speak with people to validate your hypothesis, basically. And when we were out, we tried to take contact with as many potential interesting customers, partners as we could, to really begin to understand the markets. And this helped me a lot understanding the technology as well, by out and talking with the people who could tell me more about it and what it could be used for, and what were the above all else, what were the disadvantages with the current ones, which is obviously the problem that we were trying to find out. Then around halfway through the trainee program, you come to the decision to cut half of the projects. So in the beginning of the Entrepreneurs in Residence program, you work with 10 different cases, at least it was for us. I think it differs every year. And you focus on all 10 within your group up until the midpoint, at which point you take those half of those cases that you think these are good, or we've found a really strong need for this, and to continue with after that cutting point. And then you begin to really get down to the deeper stuff, because the second half of the program focuses on, is there going to be anything for this technology after the program? So you really try to get down into the more techno-economical attributes of the technologies, and really begin to understand the markets at a deeper level. So the meetings often become a little bit more intense, and that's when you can even get out of the building, really go out to meet people and to understand if the technology you're working with can make a difference.
Mm-hmm. And is it always obvious which cases go to the next phase?
No, I wouldn't say so. It was actually very unclear, and Cellfion was one of those that was a little bit unclear, actually. So Cellfion was one of these technologies that was incredibly hard to understand. I think for us all that were on the program, and we were out speaking with some people, and under the first first couple of months, I would say, we were possibly looking at the wrong markets. And this is what I was talking about being flexible. You have to iterate and look at the different markets. And 2 weeks before we were about to take the cut, we hadn't found any sort of real need for the product, and it actually looked like Cellphone was possibly on its way out. But then within those 2 weeks, just before we did the cut, we had 2 very interesting meetings where people actually said to us, we want to test this. This sounds really interesting. And at that point, we really started to understand, okay, this maybe is something. And so just those 2 meetings basically saved it. And after that, basically, Cellphone lifted off. The interest just grew and grew and grew during the second half of the project, and we realized that there really was a need for this technology. So it wasn't clear in the beginning at all, but I'm so happy that those 2 meetings came in when they did.
And that goes back to what you said before, that you have to be curious as well, and not just cut it off already, but really look into more markets and just try your best. And I guess that's why it's still going strong.
Yeah, you've got to be, absolutely.
But you also talked about how difficult it was with them to understand the technology. And since LEAD is a deep tech incubator, some of the projects are quite technology based. How would you say, do you have to have a technical background, or What is your opinion on that?
No, I wouldn't say so. So I don't come from a technology background at all. My education was within business and marketing. So coming into especially the electrochemical world was completely new for me. And I think this is, again, you've got to have that curiosity and you've got to have the drive to learn. And that's what we did. And knowing how to learn is always a really good thing. So I know that when we were in the recruitment process, one of the questions that were asked to us was, how do you learn? Or how do you get to know something? And this is always a really good question to think about, is how do I learn and how can I improve my knowledge? So for me, I spent a lot of time on YouTube. That was where I learned a lot in the beginning. And then when we came to a later stage, especially after the program, I started really getting into the technology in a deeper way. And then I sort of started reading research papers. So again, it comes more down to your personality. Do you want to learn this? And if the answer is yes, then there'll be nothing stopping you from doing it. Mm-hmm. Just because you don't have the relevant background doesn't mean that you won't be able to.
Mm-hmm. That's so cool. So what would you say is like the best thing about the program?
I think the best thing about the program is that it provides opportunities that you probably wouldn't have. I mean, I would never have expected to be stepping in as the sort of CEO for a deep tech startup within electrochemistry. I think if you asked me that about 3 years ago, I wouldn't even know what you're talking about. So it really does open up fantastic new doors and possibilities. And if you're someone that really wants to take these opportunities and challenge yourself, it's a fantastic opportunity. And what it can lead to, it can be incredible things.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, that's so cool to hear. How you talked a little bit about like how is it to like work with these like deep tech cases, but let's dive a little bit more into how it is to work, because as you said, like it provides opportunities, and one of the like purposes of these programs is to match entrepreneurs to like researchers who might have amazing technology but don't have maybe the like time to commercialize themselves. So how is it to work with someone else's idea?
Yeah, so I think I thought it was really good because one of the things that we've always had from day one, if we take Cellphone, for example, we've always had a balance. And working together with the researchers who have the fantastic knowledge around the technology, and there'll be no one that'll ever match them. If they can get the balance of the sort of market and business development going parallel, there's nothing really that can stop you. And that's one of the things that I've really loved about working together with the researchers, is that we've always had this balance, and they've been very helpful, incredibly helpful at helping me learn the technology. They've never, I've asked some dumb questions probably in their mind, but they've never ever said anything against it. They've always explained things that I can understand it, and now it's to the point where I can teach other people our technology. So I only see it as a bonus, basically, having the opportunity to work with other people and to help them commercialize their ideas.
Mm-hmm. And now maybe it's a good time how to tell us more about the Cellfion, about the company. Do you have like his pitch or like yeah? Yes,
so Cellfion develops and manufactures bio-based membranes for electrochemical applications. So this is for basically, it's a component, so it's the middle material used in clean energy devices. For example, fuel cells, which are used in in hydrogen vehicles, large-scale energy storage, which is called a redox flow battery. So this is a large-scale batteries that can be connected up to the electrical grids. It can be used to store energy from renewable sources. And then another application we're also looking into is PEM electrolyzers, which is used for the production of green hydrogen. So this is where you take renewable energy from wind and solar, and you use it to drive an electrolysis plant, which is a water splitting technology that splits water into hydrogen and oxygen. And we work with basically the component that splits the hydrogen from the oxygen. And then if you look down the value chain, you can use that hydrogen to, for example, within industry, it's used in for the production of green steel at the moment in the H2 Green Steel project. It can be used for cars, it can be used for energy storage. There's a massive range of applications, and these markets are growing pretty exponentially at the moment. I think that the hydrogen market is predicted to take an approximate 20% of the European energy industry by 2050. So they're markets that are growing incredibly fast, and with the need obviously to reduce fossil fuels. And what's so unique about our product is what it's made from and what we can do with it. So Cellfion's membrane is made from nanocellulose, which is a material that's derived from trees. So what we do is we break down trees through different chemical and mechanical treatments, and you come down to the nanocellulose level. And what we do is we do modifications to the nanocellulose, and then we fabricate these into sheets. So our product looks a little bit like a plastic A4 piece of paper, I guess you could say. And what's sort of unique about these nanocellulose fibrils is that we are able to basically adapt any of the properties of this. So it allows us to create an adaptable solution to the customer's needs, which is why we work very often outwards towards the customer to get feedback from them and to do iterations outwards, basically, as much as we can. And we are a spin-out company from 3 research institutes in Sweden. So it's the Linköping University's Laboratory of Organic Electronics, KTH is Royal Institute of Technology, the Division of Fiber Technology, and RISE's Printed Electronics Arena in Norrköping.
So it's both a complex structure of the team and also a complex product, I would say, because it's like, or how is that to like be working on a small part of like a bigger product? How do you find your like customer? Who should you talk to?
So we're sort of working with a component, I guess, in these devices. It's one of the very critical components because you need this in order to either make a battery work or to separate the hydrogen from the oxygen. And finding your customers, in the beginning, it was much sort of taking a chance when you didn't know the value chain that well and just getting out to talk to people and to understand your value chain. But then after a while, we identified the customer segments. So we knew which one was maybe our early adopter, which one was more of our potential future customers that are a little bit bigger possibly. And then from this, once you started to understand the markets a little bit more, you could then identify who is my customer and why should we reach out to them and what's their problem as well. It's always good to know your customers' problems before speaking to them. And it seemed that we found a pattern throughout the industry with the current membranes, which gave us basically an advantage going into these meetings.
So interesting to hear. Now that you're like CEO of a company, how is that? What are you like doing during your days?
There is no 2 days that are the same. That's safe to say. So I've gone through, I think it was only last week, we had about 8 meetings during one day. And I think during that day, I've gone from speaking with investors to sitting in technical meetings with the researchers to customer meetings to speaking with the bank. It's very mixed up. There's a lot going on. So there isn't really a structured way, but I mean, what you could say for a CEO, I mean, you have the responsibility for the company, and you have to make sure that all stakeholders are taken care of. And for me specifically, because I'm so lucky to have such a fantastic technical team, I can focus a lot more on the business and market development for the company. So I focus a lot on outwards towards the customers, and together with the team building, which is very important. And with the current situation with the company, we're in the middle of an investment round as well. So I work a lot with the strategic decisions around the business and market development, and have a fantastic technical team for the researchers on the technical decisions.
And you talked about the seed round, and we will talk maybe a little bit more about that later. But I just want to ask a follow-up question there. How is it? So now you like described how is it to be like a CEO, but can you go more into like detail? how it is to be a CEO of such a like deep tech company. How like is the like how far in the future is it that you can go into production and like sell your products?
So yeah, that's a good question. So the difference between maybe a software company compared to a company that's been spun out from research is that the process from time to market tends to be a little bit longer. And that's because usually when you're coming out of research, what's being done is more of a fundamental investigation and development. And it takes then quite a lot more capital, and especially working with a production company, you need to scale your production as well. So the time to market becomes a little bit longer. And for us, we're at a stage now where we're still in basically the validation stage, but we're really starting to close in on the upscaling stage. So we actually plan within 1 year that we will begin basically the upscaling for the technology. So it begins to be exciting. But this, what you need to basically know before this is you really need to have a good business model. You need to have validated your products. You need to have validated your production line to make sure that the quality is still there of your products. So it can be quite a time and capital needed time, really.
Mm. So how is it to like raise capital?
It's exciting. So there's a lot of pitching. So raising capital is obviously quite a big part of startups. You obviously need capital in order to employ people and to get the company up and running. So it becomes a part of your job, especially leading as CEO or being sort of the chairman for the company. And usually with investors, it usually starts with a pitch. So you usually prepare what could be anything between a 20-minute and a 30-minute pitch. And you're up and you're presenting your company, and that's really your time to shine. And during that time, it's important to get across, how does the market look now? How does it look in the future? The different trends, your technology. What are the advantages with technology? What do you have for advantages over your customers? And how are you going to commercialize that? And then the pitches are usually followed up by sort of questions and discussions for around half an hour maybe. And then if everything goes sort of to plan, the investors might want to come in and do due diligence in your company, which can be a little bit of a process there as well. So it's important that you're out early to do your investment rounds. Don't leave it till the last minute when you're needing money, because they can take time. So how we always like to work is around 6 months in advance, so that we can choose the right investors as well, which is an incredibly important thing, because you want people who are coming in who wants the best for your company, not just the best for the returns on their investment, which is of course what all investors want. But it's important to get somebody in that believes in your technology as well. And depending on how you are as a company, you might want someone who has an investment strategy that's more long term or more short term. It depends completely on your company situation.
Mm. And we actually got a question from the audience, which is, how long did it take you to prepare to commit to entrepreneurship?
That's a good question. I don't think it took that long. So in terms of it depends a little bit on the questions tailored. I guess when I was looking at the preparation, I guess the trainee program prepared me. And I guess because I had no prior experience to entrepreneurship before this, apart from studying one course within my education. So I think the trainee program was the preparation that I had in order to become an entrepreneur. And then being an entrepreneur, there is no education in the world that will ever prepare you. You have to learn as you're going a little bit as well. Surround yourself by the right people, which is incredibly important. Don't never ever underestimate how helpful people can be, because I certainly wouldn't be here with trying to do this alone. It's been dependent on the team that we've had since the beginning and the team that we're still building now. We have some fantastic people that have joined us, and every single day I learn something from them. So don't try to do this alone. That'll help your preparation a lot, I guess.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, that's really important. Don't do it alone. So, but like in the early stage, I don't know like how much money you have, but I know that like many of the people that I met in like the program, or like some members here at Lead, or like in the beginning, entrepreneurs are often afraid to give away parts of their company. How do you see that?
Yeah, I think that's completely dependent on the company. And I don't think you should I think it depends a little bit on the situation, and it depends on where your company is, what resources you have, especially. But what's important to remember is that the company starts from the day one. So for us, from a coming from a research institute background, is that even though this research was done, the company started from for us in August last year, and that was day one for us. So what you can think about at this point is, what am I contributing to this company and forward? Not what already happened, what's going to happen in the future? Where are we going with this company? And that's one of the main things to remember. And we all basically said what we wanted to contribute to this company. And for the researchers, that was their EP coming in. Some of them wanted to carry on working actively, some of them didn't. And that's okay. They still contributed with their EP, and they got a fair share for that. So it's important to know the contributions, because it's about what's going to happen in the future. It's a long journey being an entrepreneur, and it's important to remember that it's not a quick win. You don't come in a year and get returns on investment or anything like this. It can be a longer process. It can be up to 5-8 years. So you have to be committed, and that's for all with the start of the company.
And I know from like working with you and seeing you here at Lead that you are really hardworking. So yes, you put a lot of energy into this to bring it where it is. We have another question, which is, how did you go about to find the right team?
Yeah, so we have been fortunate. I have to admit, we have got some fantastic people, and then some of it has been a little bit of luck, and some of it has been having the right connections. So some of the people that came into our company now have been through references. So we spoke with some of the team members here at Lead, actually, that referred one of our employees. And we've also been advertising through sort of LinkedIn and different events as well. So it's been, we've had a bit of luck that we had the right people applying, really. But never underestimate references. Talk to people around you, especially people that you trust and you believe in their opinions, because they'll tend not to steer you wrong. So for us, I'm very happy to have a fantastic contact network that you can reach out to and ask, hey, is this person good, or do you have any references for this kind of competence?
What would you say are like the milestones that you have like reached so far after the Entrepreneurs in Residence program?
So I think we've always been kind of unique with how fast, I guess, the company is moving. It's been going very fast. We only established around 6 months ago, I think now, and we sort of raised capital directly with the start of the company, which gave us our pre-seed funding to really get up and running, which we were very fortunate about. It's allowed us to do things that maybe wouldn't have been possible otherwise. And we've also increased our team. We have around working actively today, I think we're around 6 people that are working actively in the company every day. So it's really fun. But we've also had massive milestones, in my opinion, both on the technology and market side as well. We've got products out to customers for early validation. And to be honest, the first tests, they were a little bit mixed. It's true. We've got some that have been really positive and we feel extremely excited about. And some of them that were tested in different environments, they weren't as good, but we approached the market in a really intelligent way, in my opinion. And what happened when we got these results that maybe weren't as good, the customer that we sent them to, they just said, go and do your adaptation and come back to us. And it turned out really well. So we got the samples back for them. I think our CTO was in the lab for a couple of hours and identified the problem, and we're going to send out some new tests to them already within the next month. So we've achieved some good milestones, and now we're in the middle of basically our next investment round, which is going to give us an extra push now until we begin to scale up our company, and it's going to allow us to bring in employ some fantastic people that I think are really going to strengthen our team and to really deliver on a quality product as well. It's important that what we're delivering can hold to the market standards over a long period of time, and to quality secure our products is kind of a key thing for us right now.
Mm. And the money that you're raising, is it mainly for like scaling up, or is it also for like building a bigger team or like something else?
So at the moment, we're calling this sort of like we're still in the validation phase. So the money we're taking in now is to focus on the team development, is to focus on the business development and the upscaling planning, basically. And this will lead us to the point where during 2022, we're now going to set up a complete plan for how exactly we're going to really take this forward, how the upscaling is going to be. And we feel pretty confident with that already now. We just want to basically validate it to make sure that it is complete. And then during the beginning of 2023, then we'll look to really begin to scale this company into something that I believe will be quite special.
Mm. That's so exciting. But how, like, was it, did you start a company after the trainee program directly, or like, did it take a while? How did you like survive or like finance yourself after the program?
Yeah, so the program finished in February 2021, and we established the company early August 2021. So it was around 6 months between there. And during that time, what I did is I actually started my own company and worked basically as a consultant towards, I think it was 3 or 4 different startups at lead, which helped me to keep going until the upstart of Cellfion. And it was extremely fun working with different companies. Got to learn a lot about the different technologies and the different markets, and got to also develop my skills as well within sort of the business development world, which is really fun. So that kept me going for around 6 months, and then finally in the first week of August, we decided that now it was time to start Cellfion, basically. But during those 6 months, it gave us, time to prepare for Cellphone. We didn't rush into any decisions. We took our time, and we really wanted to make sure that this is the right thing that we're doing, that it's done the right way was the main thing, and that everyone was happy with the decisions we were making. And I'm very grateful that we took that time. It became fantastic that and we now at a point where we work harmoniously together, because we took that time to really make sure that everyone took the right roles and knew exactly what they were contributing to the company.
That sounds so smart and really like something that everybody who is an entrepreneur thinking about like starting a company should think about, like take your time.
Absolutely. It's a marathon, not a sprint.
Yes, exactly. So, but how is it to start a company? Like you said, you started your maybe there you can like compare it, like you started your own consulting company, but then you also started a company with a lot of people. Like how is it, and like what are the differences?
Yeah, I mean, starting your own consulting company, it's your company. You can do as you like, basically. It's something that can move really quickly if you want to, or you can just take decisions and implement them within seconds. When you're working and starting a company with other people, one thing to remember is that these people you're going to work with, you need to make sure that everyone is happy and know what they are contributing to the company. So there's a lot of compromising, and there's a lot of making sure that everybody understands their roles, really. So there's a lot more working together in principle. But it's much more rewarding starting this with other people. You never feel alone if you have someone that you can turn to and go through ideas with, brainstorm different ideas, and to challenge each other as well. And this is something that I try to bring into basically our culture, is to challenge each other. We have regular meetings throughout the week with our internal teams. And one of the things we say is, give each other updates about how everything's going, but I want you to challenge each other, to ask the right questions to make them think. And it's not done in a bad way at all. It's really to improve people. And that's one thing that we believe big in. It's about constant development, because no one's the finished product.
And there, I think it's really like important, or like you talked about, to understand, like it was really helpful that everybody understood the like different roles that they had. Often in startups, it's like you have multiple roles because you're not that big yet. Is there like any trick, or how do you do, like when you're like, okay, am I now talking as the CEO, or do I have like the role of the maybe the like CFO or like something like that? Do you have like a trick how you like handle that?
No, I wouldn't really say that I have a trick. It is like you say, there is, even though you've divided up into different roles, you do a lot. Everybody has to pitch in with everything, and that's something we're also very clear on. Is, you know, you might have a certain responsibility area, but there is so much that goes on in a startup company, and there is little people to fulfill all of those gaps, that you need to be able to adapt to it. Which is why we take our technical team with us on customer meetings, and likewise we take our marketing team on into technical discussions, because that way that you get to learn basically the whole company, and you'll get this better dynamic going through the company. So we try to work very transparent throughout our full company, so that everyone is up to date, can answer on the questions. And when you're so few on the company, if one person was to leave, it would be much easier to fill that gap if everybody was aware of that person's role exactly, which is a really big thing to consider, is that you need to be able to always make sure that there is someone there that can cover and to help you as well, to challenge you. So I wouldn't say we have any tricks. You've just got to be open-minded, and again, it's curiosity to want to be better and to learn more about the company.
Mm. And talking about like team or having a big team, there's another question in the chat. What are some of the terms you consider for joining the team?
So one of the first things obviously you need to look at is what do we need. So before we begin any sort of recruitment, we'll look at the team we've got, and we'll say, where is our disadvantages in the team? What is the competence that we're missing, and who can come in with what competence in order to improve our team? Some of the things we always look for is, we like to see people with a good drive, the curiosity again, that believe in our mission as well. And you can never stress how important it is to believe in what you're doing, because that'll make you get up in the morning. If you're just someone that gets out of bed and goes to work, then you won't succeed as an entrepreneur, because you need to go basically to that next level in order to succeed. And having a really sort of deep belief in the idea is, there will be nothing that will match that power, basically. So I would say there are three of the attributes that we look into. And one thing that I think's interesting and when recruiting is to see what sort of challenges people have had in their life as well. I mean, no one's had a perfect life, and basically they always say the bigger the challenges that you've had, the stronger you become. And it's interesting to see how you've overcome those sort of challenges as well, because there's going to be a lot of challenges in a startup. It's not going to be easy every day, and it certainly isn't, I can say. So you need to have that resilience to keep going even when times are looking a little bit rough.
Yeah. And there, I think it's also like something you said before when you talked about like the test that you did that didn't come back perfect, but then you didn't give up. But you like were looking, okay, how can we like solve this? And I think that's like also like a really important personality trait, I would say, since that gives you, like, if you see like feedback or failure as something where you can improve, it will help you to like grow. How do you think about that?
Yeah, so just that example you gave actually makes me laugh a little bit. So when we actually got the first result back from the customer that didn't work so well, I remember ringing the CTO, and I was so upset. I was just like, this isn't working. But his mindset, and sort of, I guess, is from the research background of failing and just keep trying again. He was just like, oh, well, now we know what to do. And I just thought that was like, well, it's not working. And he was just like, we can solve this. And within a couple of hours, he went away, did some tests, and he's absolutely fantastic at his job. He's an incredible talent. And he went away, he did some tests, he developed it, and he came back and said, I'll fix the problem. So I just sat there and it completely changed my mindset. And I learned through that experience as well. But again, it was having the right people around me at that time. So even now, even for myself, I'm still developing, I still learn every day, and experiences like that help you to learn.
Yeah, that's true. So how we are coming close to the end of the session, to the webinar, and I just want to remind everyone that you can ask questions in our Q&A section, so that I can ask Liam what you want to know. Is there anything you want to say? Looking forward, what is going where do you see your company maybe in 5-10 years?
That's a great question. I think everyone is involved at Cellphone has very high ambitions, and we basically what we want to develop is something that can really make a difference. We believe in our technology, and we believe in the problem we're trying to solve. In bringing forward sustainable materials for the clean energy industry, it's going to be incredibly important, because these are industries that are growing very fast, and that we need to grow very fast in order to come away from the fossil fuels. But we need to do it in a sustainable way. And I think that everyone involved at Cellphone believes in that, and that's one of the reasons I really hope that we will succeed. But I can imagine us becoming a very large company fairly fast if we continue at the same pace that we are doing. But to do it also in a sustainable way is important to not outgrow our capabilities. So 5 to 8 years down the line, I always have this vision for Cellphone that we'll have our own cleantech factory. So it'll be like a place where we can produce all different sorts of biomaterials for clean energy devices, and it'll be a really exciting place to work, and somewhere that I hope that everyone who is there believes in our mission, really.
That sounds super exciting.
Yeah.
How is talking about sustainability? Was that a driver from the beginning, or did you through the case or the company become more invested in the sustainability? How was that for you?
That definitely grew for me coming through with Cellfion. I would say that probably before the program, I wasn't as aware as I am now, and that was probably the biggest problem, that I wasn't so sort of committed to sustainability. But when I really started to understand the impact of different materials, to the impact of global warming, and what we can really sort of do, and the action that we need to take now, the passion really sort of grew to really want to make a difference. So I wouldn't always say that it's something that's been sort of with me, but it's something that it's developing daily, and something that I believe more and more in.
That's so exciting. I don't really have many more questions for you. And I see that we don't have any questions from the participants yet, but if you want, write questions. Is there anything else you can talk about to inspire some potential entrepreneurs?
Take a chance, be brave, and if it doesn't work, that's okay. Just try again. You never fail unless you quit. So just keep trying different ways. You'll find a way to make it work. If you believe in something badly enough, it will work.
Those were some good last words.
Motivational speaker of the year. Okay.
Yeah, check on that. Yeah. If there are no more questions, then maybe we should say goodbye then. And I just want to remind everyone, if you are interested in the Entrepreneurs in Residence program or the summer job, the deadline for applications is the 20th of February. And if you have your own idea, then you can also join us through the BOTA program or becoming a member. Or if you are like a researcher, then you can also contact us if you want help with commercializing your your different technologies or innovations or whatever you are researching, doing research in. And I think we got another question here, which is it free? And I guess, so like the summer job and the entrepreneurs in residence, you will get like a salary, which is kind of like an entrepreneur salary, like for like small companies. And then if you will become a member at LEAD, there's like a monthly or like a membership fee for like, I think it's 6 months, which is according to where you are in the startup journey. And like, yeah, in the beginning, you don't pay as much in order to like get the startups to like be able to do it. And we also have a question, which is, can I do it online? And there I actually think that most of the programs are, there's an ambition to have them in like person here at LEAD, because we have noticed that like you learn more or like the startups grow faster when they are like here, and you can like learn and like talk to each other. But we have to check with Corona. So yeah, and yes, I think that's it. We got another question: how many people are in the program? And as Liam said in the beginning, during the entrepreneurs in residence during his year, there were 5 people, and during the program this year it was 4. So it depends on the people, because they're actually recruiting a group that can work well together and complement each other. And for the summer jobs, it's about 10 cases, which has 2 students each. And in the BOTA program, it's about 10 to 12 companies. Oh, that's really exciting. We have one person that's watching from Uganda and really wants to be a part of it. That's so exciting. Maybe you can like contact us, and then we can see if we can help you. Because I know, yeah, some of the like coaching can probably done online. So we can see. Yes. But with that said, if we don't have any more, we can like wait a couple of more minutes in case someone is writing. Yeah. Okay. But then once again, Liam, thank you so much for coming here and talking about your exciting startup journey. And like with your mindset and personality, I'm sure that you will like grow into this big company that can transform the whole like sector of like clean tech and green energy. And I'm really, really excited to see how it's going and like how you will change the world. So thank you and goodbye, and see you at our next startup talk in the beginning of March. So keep an eye on our social media. Bye-bye.
Thank you. Bye.